My name is David Rozek, and I am the owner and founder of Pandemic Design Studio, located outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in Bridgeport. We make a variety of products here, including super modern ceramic wall planters and vases. The raw material shows up on a pallet. It gets delivered from Pittsburgh, where it's made. It comes in as liquid clay, so really kind of watery clay. It's called slip, and that slip is poured into a hopper, and the hopper is where it all gets mixed up, and reused slip gets added to it. So once the molds are all set up and they're ready to be poured, the slip goes into them and it sits for a certain amount of time, and then it gets dumped out. And then the next day, we take the molds off. We get the raw ceramic forms underneath. There's quite a bit of handwork that needs to be done to them, cleaning up the edges and cutting off what I call the snorkels. So if you figure we're pouring slip in, it can't be just the form. It's got to have a tube where it goes in. So once we get them cleaned up, sponged off, we get the snorkels cut off, we get the holes cut on top. I have a very specific tool that I created. It's kind of like our circular cookie cutter. Then once the holes are cut, the rims are smoothed off with another sponge, and they're set to dry for a little while. After they've dried to be, in the ceramics world, what we call leather hard, which means they're hard enough to handle and you won't leave a fingerprint on them or anything like that. We use another gadget that I came up with, which is called the beveler. So it's kind of like a paper cutter with a 45-degree angled blade on it, and it cuts the edge of a square ceramic, and it cuts it at an angle. After the beveler, we flip them over and drill holes in the back with just a regular handheld battery-operated drill. It's pretty cool. You can drill ceramics. So once the drain hole and the hanging hole are all put into the nodes, then they sit to dry for the smaller ones. It could be a day. The larger ones, it could be several days. Once they are done drying, once all the water is evaporated out of them, we put them into the kiln for what is called a bisque firing in the ceramics industry. So the bisque firing, it makes it much harder than when it was just air drying, but it's not a finished firing. It's not a finished hardness. So it gets pretty hard enough to handle and hard enough to glaze. So the next process then is we glaze these bisque nodes. And we've got a bunch of 35-gallon trash cans full of our variety of glazes. And they're all dipped into the glaze, all sponged off afterwards on the bottoms and on the sides, and then reloaded into the kilns for their final glaze firing. The final glaze firing gets as hot as over 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hot enough to melt steel. So it's quite a hot kiln, and we fire them. It's called high-fired ceramics. We fire them at that temperature. It's more expensive to fire it to that temperature because it uses more electricity, but it allows the nodes to be both indoor and outdoor wall planters, because the hotter you fire them, the closer the molecules get together and the less water absorption they have. So they are all-weather nodes.